the next chapter of class 11 chemistry syllabus, classification of elements and periodicity in properties. It is chapter 3 of class 11 syllabus. Okay, so now today is 10th of August. Okay, this is the fourth period. Now let's move ahead straight away to the first important thing to discuss. Now, what is the necessity of classifying the elements accordingly? What is the use? What is the need? What is the need for classifying the elements into the periodic table? Had the elements not been classified into the periodic table, what would have been today? It would have been a lot of jamela, lot of problem, lot of confusion to study these elements. So please keep in mind that the first thing over here, the classification of elements, the arranging of elements into groups on the basis of the similarities in properties. See, they have mentioned over here groups. Elements in the periodic table have been classified into groups, and elements in a group they have similar properties, and that was called classification of elements. Now, this classification of similar elements into groups makes the study of elements easier. So we know if an element is told to us, say if we hear about fluorine or chlorine or bromine or iodine, we know they belong to the same group and they will have similar properties, if not same properties, because they have something in common. The number of electrons in their valence shell is common. So that's how elements have similar properties. Now today, if you club all the discovered elements and the synthesized elements which have been discovered by man-made, there are about approximately 114 elements which have been known by humankind so far. Okay. Now, a lot of attempts were made in the previous years, in the early years, during the study of the periodic table regarding the classification of elements. The early attempt to classify elements was grouping them known elements, about 30 elements, into two groups called metals and non-metals only. Just imagine. In the beginning, they grouped the elements only into metals and non-metals. But slowly something came about, metalloids, noble gases, then only more and more elements came. Then lanthanoids were classified, then actinoids were classified, then the D block elements were classified, and it went further. And today we have the modern periodic table, or the long form of the periodic table. Okay, but this was due to the very serious efforts of so many important chemists like Dobreiner, Newland, Mendeleev, one remarkable fellow. Okay, now the defect, the defect in this classification was that it had no place for metalloids, which have properties of both metals and non-metals, which were discovered later. Okay, now after that, a remarkable contribution was done by Mendeleev. Now, what were Mendeleev and Moseley contribution to the development of periodic table? Let us learn about that. Now, these people, they arranged elements according to increasing atomic mass. That was an important development. Increasing atomic mass, later on atomic number. They observed that elements had similar chemical and physical properties. And they also, this fellow, Mendeleev, left spaces for elements to be discovered. And later on, truly, elements which were newly discovered were put in those places. Okay. Then this fellow, little bit history about this Mendeleev. He was a Russian chemist. He was the creator of the first version of the periodic table of the elements. Arranged his periodic table according to atomic mass so that elements with similar properties were in the same group. Some elements could not be arranged according to atomic mass in order to keep the elements arranged according to the properties. So this was a defect. This was a fault. Okay. Now Dmitry Mendeleev predicted the properties of elements that had not yet been discovered during his. This was a remarkable development by Mendeleev. He predicted the properties of the elements which were not yet discovered and gave them a position. Okay, whatever element he discovered after so and so element is going to be placed in this position. He told that also. Now, during these developments, there was some other fellows like Dobreiner, which you have heard in class 9. And it was a law given by him which was called Dobreiner's law of triads, where three elements, for example, lithium, sodium, potassium, their atomic mass, if it was added, the average was coming as the atomic mass of the central element, that is sodium. So this is how Dobrynin worked on his law, okay, which we don't follow today. Now, the Mendeleev periodic table, if you look at the details of the Mendeleev periodic table and the periodic law, we find that while Dobrynin initiated the study of periodic relationship, it was Mendeleev who is responsible for publishing the periodic law for the first time in history, and it states as follows. The law states like this: the properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic weights. This is what he had stated. And then the physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic function of their atomic weights, atomic masses. But it was not exactly correct. Okay. Now, if the elements are arranged in order of the increasing atomic weights, after a regular interval, elements with similar properties are repeated again and again. That's why we have different periods. Okay. On the basis of this law, Mendeleev proposed a periodic table for classification of elements, which is known as Mendeleev's periodic table. Which is known as Mendeleev's periodic table. Okay, that is important point to remember. Now, after that, moving to the next slide, this is, you can have a look at a rough diagram about the Mendeleev's periodic table, where you find groups 1, 2, 3 according to Roman numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and elements have been placed over here. Okay, correctly only, which we have somewhat today also. But there was some problem. 4, 5, and 6. The period 4, 5, and 6 contains more than one element. So this is what he had done, Mendeleev's periodic table, just because he arranged the elements according to the atomic weights, not atomic numbers. Okay, so this is just a diagrammic illustration about the Mendeleev's periodic table. Now, if you look at one more illustration over here, where according to Mendeleev, the elements in groups and series was discussed. So this is the series and what you call groups which have been discussed, where you will find some groups containing more than 3 elements or 3 elements at the most. Okay, some groups containing some positions containing 2 elements. Okay, like this. Okay, which was a drawback about the Mendeleev's periodic table. Okay, now after that, the Mendeleev periodic table, according to this, it was classified, the elements classified in the increasing order of the atomic masses, atomic weights, because of similarities in the properties. The formulae of the oxides and hydrides formed by the elements was also studied, and it was classified on the basis for the classification of the elements. Mendeleev's periodic table has 6 horizontal rows called periods and 8 vertical rows called groups. This is true. The groups 1 to 7 had 2 subgroups called A, B subgroup and B subgroup. Group 8 had 3 rows of elements. You could see that time. Elements having similar properties were placed in the same groups. There are some spaces left vacant in the table to accommodate the elements to be discovered in future. This was one remarkable development by Mendeleev. Okay. There were merits also, there were demerits also. Let us understand them one by one. Now, with regard to the merits of the Mendeleev's periodic table, elements were classified on a more fundamental basis of atomic masses and properties. This was the first merit. Spaces were left vacant to accommodate the elements to be discovered in future. Now, it could predict the properties, according to the table, predict the properties of the elements which helped in the discovery of new elements. The inert gas element discovered later could be placed in a separate group without disturbing the table. So, these were the good developments, the merits of the modern modical Mendeleev's periodic table. But sadly, there were some defects also, which after which this table was discarded and which led to Mosley design a new table which is called the modern periodic table, which we have today. Now, the first defect was some elements are not arranged in the increasing order of the atomic masses. Cobalt is placed before Ni, tellurium is placed before I, etc. So, these were some defects. Number two, the position of hydrogen is not clear. It is not clear even today. That time also it was not clear. But the position of hydrogen, because it shows properties similar to two groups, Group 1, that is alkali metals, and group 7 or 17, that is the halogens. Okay. Now, the position of isotopes of elements was not clear by the Mendeleev's periodic table. But today, according to the modern periodic table, the position of isotopes of the elements is very, very clear. Okay. Now, moving further to the next contribution of Mosley, which came, which resulted in the modern periodic table. This fellow was Henry Moseley. Noticed that when all the elements were arranged in the order of masses, atomic masses, a few were not in the right family with respect to the properties. That's why Moseley used a special procedure called X-ray diffraction technique. X-ray diffraction technique. Details are not required in class 11. Okay. To determine the atomic number of the elements. So that is how the atomic number was determined, taking into consideration the electrons present outside the nucleus and the number of protons present inside the nucleus. Now, this person, when the elements were arranged in increasing order of atomic number, the discrepancies in the Mendeleev's periodic table disappeared. And then this led to the wonderful discovery of the Moseley's periodic table, which is known as the modern periodic table, which we know today. Okay, now looking further to the details of the modern periodic table. The law first. The properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers, not atomic masses or atomic weights anymore. This is one important point to keep in mind. Atomic number denoted by Z and equals to number of protons in the nucleus of the atom or the number of electrons truly. The modern periodic table contains 18 vertical columns which are known as groups and 7 horizontal rows which are known as periods. We'll be looking at this in the next slide. Elements in a group have same number of valence electrons. This is a known fact. So these are some few details about the modern periodic table. Okay. Now looking at the next slide, the Moseley's modern periodic law. It states that the properties of the elements are periodic function of their atomic numbers. This you have to learn. This you have to learn the statement. He said that the properties of every element varies with atomic number and not with atomic mass. A very important contribution over here. The modern periodic table is in accordance with the modern periodic law. Okay, so the Moseley's periodic law is also known as modern periodic law today. Now, if you have a look at this long form of the periodic table, you can see almost all the elements have been placed in this table over here. Like here you have 1A, group 1A. Hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Okay. Group 2A or 2, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. Then if you look over here, group 3A, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. Group 4A, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. 5A, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. 6A, this is just a minute. This is 13, okay? 13, 14, this is 15, this is 16, this is 17. And this one is 18 or 8A or 0 group, okay? Slight correction over there. Now, in 16 or 6A, we have oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and polonium. In 7A or 17, we have fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and acetylene. Acetylene is rare. Then we have 18 or 80, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Okay, so this contains all the elements which have been discovered or made by man. In the center, we have a D block over here. From 3B to 2B over here. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, cadmium, mercury, copper, silver, gold, nickel, palladium, platinum. And these are all D block. These are the lanthanide series and the actinide series. Okay, starting from lanthanum and actinium. Okay, ending to lutetium and lawrencium. Okay, now this is how the long form of the periodic table looks like, which is classified into groups and the periods over here. There are how many periods? There are 7 periods. Okay, so with time and with experience, slowly you will get to know and you'll get to learn and memorize the elements by heart according to the groups. Now you are in class 11. You should know at least the elements belonging to particular groups. just leaving out the D block. For the D block, I'll request you to learn this series by heart. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. This, at least you learn this by heart. And then you jump down: zinc, cadmium, mercury, copper, silver, gold, and then nickel, palladium, and platinum. This much you learn, it will help you, it will not do you any harm. Okay. Now this is the F block. This is the F block element. The lanthanide series and the actinide series are called F block elements. These are called the D block elements. This is called the S block elements over here. This much S block elements, and these are called the P block elements, and this is the noble gas over here. Okay, so we'll learn this. We'll have a look at this several times in while studying this chapter in detail. Okay. Now let's look at the merits of the long form of the periodic table. What are the advantages? The first one is the classification of elements is based on more fundamental property. If I ask what is the fundamental property of an element, it is the atomic number. The second one, the position of an atom is related with its electronic configuration. So electronic configuration plays a very, very important role in assigning a position of that element in the periodic table. Third one, it explains similarities, differences, and trends in physical and chemical properties of elements in their electronic configuration. Inert gases are placed at the end of each period, which represents a logical completion of each period. So after completing each period up to 17, the next one is a noble gas. That is to be understood. Dividing of elements into subgroups eliminates the mix-up of dissimilar elements. So elements have been divided into subgroups, also group and subgroup. 1A is one subgroup, 1B is another subgroup. The long form of the periodic table acts as a strong tool for classification of elements, whether it is alkali metal or alkaline earth metal or transition metals or metalloids or non-metals, lanthanides and actinides. It is more comprehensive. It is a more detailed and comprehensive information which has been given by the long form of the periodic table. Okay, now moving further to the defects of the long form of the periodic table. The long form of the periodic table is even today it is unable to include the lanthanides and actinides in the main body of the periodic table. Today also we have this problem. We have to study the lanthanides and actinides even today out of the periodic table separately as lanthanide series and actinide series. Okay, that is the first defect. The second defect is that today also the problem of position of hydrogen in the table has not been solved completely. It is still a mystery. The position of hydrogen is still a mystery today also. Then the third defect is configuration of helium, that is 1s2, is different from inert gases. Inert gases configuration is ns2 np6, but helium has only ns2. So this is also a defect. But even then, having 1s2 electrons, it is still placed in the same group as the noble gas. So these are the three defects. You may read several times to keep them in your mind, which will help you answer some objective questions in the compulsory part of your question paper. Okay. Now, moving to the next slide over here, it is the periodic table of the elements, where you can see it contains the elements given in detail. This will be available in a textbook also. Okay, if you open a textbook to page number say 160, say 7 onwards, 69 I think, page number 169. Okay, page number 169. You will have a similar periodic table in your textbooks where the elements have been represented into various groups and periods. And on that diagram, you'll find atomic mass of the element, you'll find atomic number of the element, you'll find the symbol and the name of that element. So this information is given over there in this periodic table. So with the color coding, alkali metals have this color, red color, alkaline earth metal, different color, transition metal, basic metal, it's a semi-metal, non-metal, halogen, noble gas, lanthanide and actinide, different colors. So that will help you, capture the images of the elements in different colors so that it remains stored in your brain for a longer time. Okay. Now, if you look at one more division over here, this is an important chart. This is an important chart for you all to understand and remember. The entire periodic table has been divided into groups, into not groups, sorry, blocks, divided into blocks. S block, P block, D block, and F block. This is the S block. Group 1 and 2 are elements belonging to the S block. Okay, all these elements are S block elements. After the S block, we have P block over here. Group 3, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. They belong to the P block elements. Now, why are S block elements called so? Because the last electron, which are also called differentiating electrons, they enter the s orbital. They enter the s orbital. For example, if you talk about sodium, it has atomic number 11. Its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 2p6, and then 3s1. If you look at this electronic configuration very carefully, 6 plus 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. The last electron is entering the s orbital, which is also called the differentiating electron. That is why sodium belongs to the S block of the periodic table, and all these elements in groups 1 and 2, they are S block elements because in all of them the differentiating electrons, the differentiating differentiating electrons, they enter the s orbital. Similarly, all the elements belonging in this 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, in these elements all the differentiating electrons, they enter the p block. They enter the p block. That is why they are called p block elements. For example, if you talk about aluminium, if you talk about aluminium, if you look at aluminium atomic number is 13. If you write down its electronic configuration, it becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, then 3p, I can have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1. So the differentiating electrons in the case of aluminium, it is entering the p orbital. That is why it is belonging to the p block. Similarly, the d block elements over here, in which the differentiating electrons always enter the d orbital. And then we have the F block elements where the differentiating electrons will definitely enter the F orbital. So that's how you must remember now and look at the periodic table in a different angle and visualize this in your mind properly. S block, P block, D block and F block of elements in the periodic table. Okay, so this is the division. Now let's have a better idea in the next slide. Now this slide is a very important slide where the different blocks are mentioned along with their general electronic configuration of the outermost shell. Like for example, the S block elements, their outermost electronic configuration is ns1 to 2 electrons. This is not 1 minus 2. It is 1 to 2 electrons. That means s orbital can have 1 to 2 electrons. That means in the s block elements, the outer electronic configuration is ns2. This n stands for the principal quantum number. Similarly, for the p block elements, the outermost electronic configuration is ns2 and np 1 to 6 electrons. That means the p orbital can have up to 6 electrons starting from 1 electron. Okay, so you have to learn this. And for d block elements, the outer electronic configuration is n minus 1. Whatever is the principal quantum number, subtract it by 1, and d orbital, they will have 1 to 10 electrons, and the n orbital, s orbital, 1 to 2 electrons. That is for d block elements. All the differentiating electrons are entering the d orbital. Similarly, for the f block elements, the differentiating electrons enter the f orbital, and this is general electronic configuration: n minus 2, f 1 to 14 electrons, n minus 1, d 0 to 1 electron, and ns orbital, s orbital containing 2 electrons. So this is something which you must remember. For s block, please learn this. It is ns 1 to 2 electron. This n stands for the principal quantum number. For the p block elements, remember this: ns2, np 1 to 6 electrons. Okay. For the d block elements, remember it is n minus 1, d orbital. It can have 1 to 10 electrons, and ns orbital 1 to 2 electrons. And finally, the f block elements, they have f orbital where it is n minus 2 f orbital 1 to 14 electrons, and then d orbital n minus 1, it is d orbital, it will have 0 to 1 electron, and finally after that s orbital, it will have always 2 electrons. So these are the things you have to remember from this slide. It is important and it is asked in the multiple choice question. They will ask you, select the correct answer from below the general auto electronic configuration of s orbital or p orbital or d orbital or f orbital. So is this clear to all of you? Is this
Yes,
clear?
sir.
We need to remember
Yes,
it
sir.
as formula.
Yeah, you have to remember this as a formula. You should learn it as a formula.
Yes,
For
sir.
S block, this is the formula of what? The valence shell or the outermost electronic configuration. Okay. For D block, it's here. For P block, it's here. For the F block, it's here. Okay. Please learn this. You have to learn anyhow. You have to learn this anyhow.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Now, after we have classified the periodic table into blocks and learned the general electronic configuration of the outermost shell, let us understand how to predict how to predict the period, group, and block of a given element. This is another important concept which you must learn, which you must understand, not learn. If you understand once, it is like learning how to ride a bicycle. Okay, then you can get the answer every time. So for this, I have got for you few examples on the next slide. For example, if you look at this, there is an element with atomic number 43. So whenever you get the atomic number, use the above principle, the Hund's rule and the Pauli's principle to write down the electronic configuration of that element. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10, 4p6, 5s2, 4d5, 4d5. Okay. Now the differentiating electron is entering the d orbital, so the block is d. So the element with atomic number 43 belong to block D. After that, which group? Which group? You have to add that. This 2 plus this 5. So it is group 7. It belongs to group 7. The element belongs to group 7. Okay. Then, now the period. Look at the valence shell. The outermost shell principal quantum number is what? It is 5. The valence shell is 5. The maximum principal quantum number is 5 over here. So the period to which the element belongs is 5. The group is 7. It belongs to group 7. So which is group 7? Which is group 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Group 7. It contains which one? Element with atomic number 43. Element with atomic number 43 is which one? Tc. It is Tc, technetium. Tc is called technetium. Technicium. Technetium. Element with atomic number 43 is technetium. It belongs to the D block. It belongs to group 7 of the long form of the periodic table. Now, let us verify our answer. Come back to the periodic chart over here. Group 7, technetium over here. Atomic number 43. Did you get it? Did you get it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so this is
Yes, sir.
how
Yes,
we must
sir.
be able to predict the period, block, and the group. Okay, another example is there. Let's go for higher atomic number. Let us take atomic number 115. 115. 115. Okay, 115. 115, it is MC. It is called, the symbol is MC, Moscow. Moscow. MOSCO, Moscovium. The element is Moscovium. Okay, I'll come to the table after some time. So as soon as you get the atomic number, use the above principle, the Hund's rule, and the Pauli's exclusion principle to write down the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, because I've taught you, 1s, 2s that way. This cancelling part in the previous chapter. Okay. These are
Yes,
the
sir.
1s, then there is after that 2p, then d, then f. Okay, so using that, you write down the electronic configuration. Okay, and check the total number of electrons. It should come to 115. After that, look at the valence shell. The outermost shell, the orbital, it is a p orbital. So element belongs to p orbital. Okay, it belongs to p orbital. Okay. After that, let's get the group. Let's get the group. Now, to get the group, we have to add over here 3, this 3, plus this 10, and below that, just below 6D, before 5F, there is 7S2. So we have to add this 2. 7, 6, and this 7. So this 2 over here, plus this 10, plus 3, it is coming to 15. Okay, not 5F, okay, because it is completely filled. It is inside. 5F 14 is inside. So we have to add 7S got 2 electrons, 6D got 10 electrons, and 7P got 3 electrons, which makes us 15.
Sir, I
So
didn't understand this group.
this one, the group is like this. See, to get the group, block you understood, no? Block you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once you get the block, for the P block, let us just a second. For the P block, what is the general formula I had given you? For the P block, it is NS2 NP126, no? Yes or no? NS2 NP126, no? Now come to the question over here. For the P block, you have to add the electrons present in the this p orbital, just below it d orbital containing 10 electrons, and just above that 7s orbital. These three of them, 6d containing 10 electrons, 7b containing 3 electrons, and 7s containing 2 electrons. We cannot add the 5f electron because it is much lower in energy. It is lower than 6p. Actually, the energy is higher, but its value is 5. Principal quantum number is 5. So that's why it is 14. So we cannot add this. Okay. We have to add this 7s2, 7p3, and just below it, one more orbital, principal quantum number 6, that is 10 electrons. So it becomes 2 plus 10 plus 3, that makes it 15 electrons. So the group is 15. Am I clear now? Am I clear now? Am I clear?
Wait.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make it slight more clear. Just give me 2 more minutes. Okay. Another example is that is 64. So usually, like the previous one, write down the electronic configuration. Okay, and then get the block first. The differentiating electrons entering the f orbital. So block is F. It is block F. Block F means it belongs to the lanthanoids and the actinoids. After that, regarding the group, look at get the highest principal quantum number over here. Get the highest principal quantum number. This is atomic number 64. Atomic number 64, the element has to be over here. If you look at atomic number 64, your element is which one? Just give a guess. It is atomic number 64. It is gadolinium. It is what? Gadolinium. It is gadolinium. Gadolinium, it belongs to group 3. That is what they are saying. It belongs to group 3 under the F block elements. Okay. Now, how they have got the group 3? Just add over here this one, 2 and 1. This we are not adding because it is below 5 principal quantum number. Okay. So I have given what you call examples by taking big atomic numbers. Let me make this clearer in the next example. One more example is there. There's an element which has electronic configuration 5s2 4d10. Krypton is there. Now, without looking at the periodic table, identify the period block and group to which the element belongs. So first is get the period. Period is this one. Period is this one. Fifth. Highest quantum number. Highest principal quantum number is 5. So period is 5. 5s2. Block is differentiating electron d. So it is a d block. And for the group, you have to add this 2 and this 10. Are you getting it? You have to add this 2 and this 10 to get the group over here. So 10 plus 2 becomes 12. Now I think this is clear. Okay. Is this clear
Sure.
now? Yes.
So can you give an example of high atomic number once more?
High atomic number I had given one over there. 115 one. 115 one over here.
For group, I didn't understand for group, no high atomic number.
So you understood the period and the block, no? Now see,
Yes, sir.
for the group, no, what I'm telling you is you include all of them, the valence shell, that is 7p, 7s, and one below that, because d orbital is closer to the 7p, no? Are you getting it? Include the highest principal quantum, that is 7 over here, 7 over here, and just below 7 there is 60. That is n minus 1 d orbital, no? So that's why you have to add
Yes.
electron belonging to 2 s over here d10 and p3, making it total 15. I think now it is clear. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't go for high atomic numbers. Later on, maximum is 80. They will ask question for you all up to maximum 80 atomic number. Okay, that will be sufficient for you all. Okay. Now it is. I think it's already time up. What class do you have next? What class do you
Some
have next?
maths.
Okay, so I will just.
So we have mathematics.
Yeah. So I'll just leave the class. But before that, just hold on, because I will record your attendance before you all leave on. Then you can join your mathematics class. Okay. Just hang on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, your attendance is being downloaded. It is downloaded, so you may leave the class now. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.